Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you can imagine, I regret deeply that we cannot see each other in person and have face-to-face interaction, which is so vital for good policy making. Despite the dire situation we have found ourselves in, thanks to the internet and digital technology, we can remain connected and preserve some aspects of our regular way of life. Now, more than ever, when we are more sensitive to malicious activities and cyber attacks, we have to think about cybersecurity. The review of the EU Network and Information System Directive is a good place to start. A few years ago, the Commission adopted a cybersecurity package with the NIS Directive and Cybersecurity Act at its core, establishing a common European cyber ecosystem and bringing a comprehensive reform of the ENISA and creating a certification framework. Nevertheless, much remains to be done to create a really safe cyber environment. What we need is an even more consolidated approach to the cybersecurity. As things stand now, security issues are spread across various EU acts, which prevents us from having a coordinated response to cyber threats. An example of this fragmentation separate channels for reporting incidents, which are different under the NIS Directive, the eIDAS regulation, GDPR, the Electronic Communications Code, the Payment Directive, and even the Medical Devices Directive. It is my view that we can overcome this hurdles and achieve cyber consolidation by enhancing the importance of the NIS Directive. The upcoming review is the perfect opportunity to do that. Poland intends to be very active across this process. We have aligned a number of ideas we would like to put forward for consolidation by the Commission and other member states. Taking into consideration the dynamic development of internet services in recent years, and of course the current pandemic crisis, we believe there is a need for a more precise regulation of identification and registration of digital services providers, especially those offering cloud solutions. They have to bear more responsibility and have more obligations, in particular when it comes to incident reporting. Current practice shows that large multinational companies easily avoid reporting obligations because the incident thresholds are too permissive. We see social media platforms struggling to contain the wave of disinformation concerning the coronavirus. They are relying on automatic algorithms deleting content which might prove useful but allowing false information to spread. It is also necessary to strengthen procedures with a view of ensuring quick access to digital evidence gathered by CSARs, law enforcement agencies, and other entities involved in incident handling. Moreover, we have increased the level of qualification of personnel responsible for cybersecurity within organizations' operators. Going back to the example I have mentioned in the beginning, we should aim at increasing the synergy of incident reporting process established under the NIS Directive and other regulations. Also those pertaining to critical infrastructure to eliminate the silos in place. A possibility to include public administration in the framework of incident reporting similar to operators of essential services is also an issue worth analyzing. Another area where the EU must maintain a united front is 5G cybersecurity. In the not so distant future, 5G will be the platform for the provisions of a wide range of services. Not to mention, it will also be the basis for mobile telecommunications of the state. Protecting these next generation's networks from disruptions or manipulation is therefore of vital importance. I welcome the European Commission's leadership role, starting with last year's recommendation on 5G cybersecurity and the publication of the 5G toolbox. Poland has repeatedly stated that the issue of 5G network security should be decided at European Union level. At home, we have established a dedicated task force composed of representatives from our ministry, the National Research Institute, NASK, Telecommunications Institute, and the Internal Security Agency. They performed a risk assessment and identified mitigation measures. They concluded that until now there was not enough control over how telecommunications operators design their services. Certain minimum requirements should be set, especially in terms of control and access of or network construction. That is why the Polish government is now proceeding to regulations related to the telecommunications security. One is introducing general standards for telecommunications security measures as well as risk prevention methods. The second focuses on action plan undertaken and procedures to follow in case of security incidents. Apart from legal changes, the Polish government has committed to undertake other supportive measures for the telecommunications community, such as establishing partnership programs for hardware and software suppliers. Once again, I want to underline that we need a common and coherent approach to the issue of 5G cybersecurity. 5G toolbox imposes on EU member states numerous regulatory obligations. It is extremely important this process takes place in the most coordinated form and that the national instruments are largely compatible with each other. What we make us stronger is if we act in sync and our measures complement each other. We need a technological alliance. It is a message we try to get across EU and NATO partners. Together with Germany, we are trying to establish a dedicated team within existing structures of 5G cybersecurity working group of the NIS cooperation group. In February, a declaration of intent to reinforce cooperation in the area of cybersecurity was also signed between the governments of Poland and France. Our efforts are not limited to EU or bilateral cooperation. We also want to tackle cybersecurity on a regional level. Our efforts are not limited to EU or bilateral cooperations. We also want to tackle cybersecurity on a regional level. As you know, in July, Poland will take over the presidency of the Visegrad Group. One of the priorities will be to strengthen cybersecurity capacities of the V4. Under preparation is the so-called Krysa Declaration, which is the result of discussions held during the first edition of the Cybersecurity Forum in Krynica. The goal is to increase incident response capacity, build common situation awareness in cyberspace, and develop new methods and tools for testing, evaluation. Close cooperation through cross-border projects and joint actions can contribute to ensuring adequate level of cybersecurity essential to achieve safe and secure digital environment. That is the reason we do not want to limit this initiative only to the V4. We think it could also be a matter to be addressed within the framework of the 3Cs initiative. Again, we do not want to stop there and work only on the state level. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm coming to the end of my speech, I would like to leave you with one more issue which should not be forgotten during today's discussions, and that is funding. For cybersecurity to work, it must receive the adequate financial support. It's something we must keep in mind when working on the next EU budgetary framework and putting financial programs into place. I want to thank you for attention and encourage you for a moment to take your mind from all the difficulties we have to deal with and focus on today's discussion. Let's look towards the future with hope. Thank you very much.